As we continue on with Lent, I had an interesting thing happen, well, not happen to me, I got an interesting email this week from a project, not a project, it's part of how I help couples get prepared for marriage. It's an online survey called Focus, which is Facilitating Open Couple Communication, Understanding, and Study. And I did the work to become a certified trainer for this. And every once in a while, they send you an email, because they've changed the program a little bit or updated the science and psychology and everything beyond the questions that they put together, and B, they want to make money. The way that struck me that was kind of funny, it says, if you haven't done a workshop since 2020, you need to be refreshed. And that hit me. Isn't Lent a time for us to be refreshed? Even though we're all thinking of, I got to give up this, I can't do that, doing that. The whole purpose of Lent, the 40 days, is, first of all and foremost, that we accompany those who will come into our faith on Holy Saturday, on the Easter Vigil, that we accompany them in 40 days of showing them what it means to live a life following Christ. And it also is a time for us, during this 40 days, to think about and renew our own baptism commitments, and if we're confirmed, our confirmation commitments. And those are always interesting things to keep in back of our mind, because if you haven't taken one of our little Lenten cards, there are some in the back that say, during this Lent, I will change my life and believe in the gospel by, and there's a line, you could put it on the line, whatever you're going to do. And I was thinking about this the other day, and if you think of the three temptations of Christ, the first one was that the devil was tempting him to say, you do it my way, and you won't feel any hunger or pain. I'll make it easy for you if you do it my way. I'll satisfy all your needs. And what the Lord told in that temptation was, no, there is a point probably that when we live our lives, it's not all going to be roses. It's not always going to be, it's going to be a lot of good times, but there's also a place for some suffering in our lives, because that helps us stay connected with what happened with the Lord. And he said, no, I will not use my divinity solely to get me out of something that all the world suffers with, or is asked to walk with. And that second temptation was to be powerful. And if anything, I probably would put that on my card besides all the other things I have. How is it that I could be more humble? Because he said, here are all the kingdoms of the world. I could give them to you. You will be known. It'll feed our egos. You will be praised and everything. But the Lord, in that second, when he said no to that second temptation, says, no, there's a way to live that we respect one another's, and we work towards something far more difficult to achieve, which is communion among us. Not conformity, not consensus, but communion, which means that we have the best of everybody involved, and we all work towards the benefit for everybody. So how could we refresh ourselves during this Lent doing that? And then the last part is, there'll be no harm, and that's also part of suffering, that the Lord won't let throw yourself over this. And that, for me, the devil's saying, well, just throw yourself off this parapet, and the Lord, your angels, if your Father will send your angels to take care of him. I'm thinking, what that for me is? My mom tape. I'm sure we all have that. Every once in a while, we want to do something that we know is not right, that we would call either idiotic or not that just. And in the back of my mind, I hear my mother, well, that's what she would call me, are you sure you want to do this? Or better yet, I think I've changed the tape a little bit, and where it says, have you thought about what you're doing? And are you ready to live by the consequences of that action? Are you ready to do something that you think is right, but have you really thought it through? Have you prayed about it? Have you gotten closer to God about it? And so those temptations of Jesus were 3 moments in his life where he kind of for himself got in touch with his mission of being God-man, which we know was not going to be easy. We know how it ends. We know the end of the story. And for us during this Lent, how then do we become refreshed? How do we keep maybe the goal in mind, but how do we keep renewing ourselves during this time? How can we keep, during our practices, a perspective of unity within ourselves, within our families, and with others? What is it for us to think about? Because one of the things from the first reading was the sacred and the secular are united. Do we have that division? Well, we're only good in church, or I'm only going to be good when I come to stations. I'm only going to be holy when I pray the rosary or read the Bible. But how about when I need to put that into practice in my life, when I go to work, or I'm with other family members, or I'm out in the store, or I'm doing anything? How do we make ourselves more unified, one with the other? And how is it that I constantly work to see how I could get in touch with God in my life? How am I refreshed with that card? What is the thing that we chose to do that will draw us closer to the Lord? So during this time of Lent, we're invited by our Lord to review and be refreshed in the temptations that we have in our lives. Not because they're so overpowering, but when we walk with them, we can indeed change our lives and be in union with Him.